Any new flying site comes with at least two things for me: excitement and fear. But then again, isn't that like anything else new in life? A little healthy fear, coupled with the novelty a new thing can bring. Avenue S is just outside Palmdale, California. I've driven by it more times than I can count, so like 12. The landing strip is an anomaly in the hang gliding world. It is nearly perfect. Surrounded by easy bailouts, the landing strip is nice manicured dirt that aligns with the prevailing winds, that it has a slight downward slope in the direction of the daytime prevailing wind. When the wind shifts in the evening and goes katabatic as the ground starts to cool off, which would make this absolutely a perfect place to be. Which surprises me, because I haven't really heard about the site. I just found out about it this year, and didn't hear too much about it when I was learning the hang glide. I'm really making this video to spread awareness about the site. There's a great training hill as well as a main quote-unquote mountain launch, and it's a really nice place to be. If you live in LA, it's not too far away, and my Santa Barbara friends, it's not too far, and especially if you're going to the Owens Valley, it's not that bad. The unique thing about Avenue S is it works when pretty much nowhere else does. It works with the Santa Ana winds. So, when every other flying site is blown out, Avenue S is just getting ready to soar. Speaking of soaring, let's start talking about what we've been watching for the last minute. As a ridge soaring site, a wire crew is nearly essential unless you're extremely well versed in ground handling your hang glider. For both of my launches, and yes, I flew twice in the same day here, I had 3 people on the wires in the nose. This was extremely helpful, but I probably could have gotten away with 1 or 2 people. But that being said, I'll take the help anytime I can get it. When you launch, the goal is to get out away from this formation on my left right now, called the potato, pretty much as soon as possible. There's not a lot of ridge lift being generated behind the potato, and the canyon is obviously tricky, and if you get low in it, you're going to be pretty out of options as far as good landing zones. So what I was told to do was just go straight out through the canyon, get what you can for lift, and then wait until you are well in front of the potato formation. So we see this one glider turning below me on the left. He's in a good spot, getting some lift. That's Bob from Wind Sports, in fact. And so I'm looking at where he is, and I'm like, okay, I need to go all the way out and get kind of on that line. I don't want to be on top of or behind the potato, because I was told by Andy of Wind Sports that there can be a lot of laminar flow there. And if you're having trouble penetrating and you're in laminar flow, you're probably going to have a bad time unless you want to land on top of the potato, because to move forward in laminar flow, you're going to have to pull in, and you're not getting any lift. So you're just sinking and barely inching forward. When I launched, we were measuring wind speeds of about 15 to 18 miles per hour with a Hall winds meter, and I think that was pretty accurate to what I started to feel in the air as well. I was still able to move forward relatively easy on the Sport 3, even with the VG at 1/4. And doing turns, I could definitely feel the ground speed tick up big time, but it wasn't extreme like I've seen Willie flying at bait speed. For my second flight, things were a little bit different, but I'm just going to play a couple highlights from this first flight, and we'll talk about that in a second. I was able to maintain altitude fairly well, but I wasn't getting great lift. So I was pretty conscious of when I wanted to fly out to the landing zone, especially since this is my first time flying here. I was keeping a close eye on Bob from Wind Sports, seeing when he went out, because on his Falcon, I knew that I had a little bit more margin than him, but since he's an experienced pilot, I didn't want to get any lower than he was, even though I am flying on the double surface. Right now, as I fly to the right direction from the launcher's perspective, I'm working my way pretty much along the entire area that you can fly. When I've initiated the turn into this direction I'm currently traveling, I was about at the leftmost area you want to be from the launcher's view. We can see a house up a little bit around where my head just passed through, and I was told by Andy that that's probably about as far to the right from launch as you want to go reasonably. I think this is for a few reasons, but mainly because your landing options start to get pretty bad if you somehow sink out and you're just ending up in houses over there. because it did seem like there was lift, especially in my second flight, all along this entire area. But again, the potato formation is the most reliable, is what I've been told. I'm looking in here for a nice downwind turn, and I decided not to go all the way for it on this first flight. In the second flight, we'll see a few more options of that, but I just kept it pretty chill for this first one since I wasn't getting a ton of altitude. I was overdressed on this flight. I have a puffy jacket underneath this windbreaker, and I was sweating, and that definitely added to my stress level on this flight. Another thing that really added to the stress level on this flight was just getting here. With the Santa Ana winds blowing and my mediocre at best hang gliding rack setup, I was extremely nervous, literally cold sweating on the entire drive to Sylmar to meet up with the Wind Sports truck. After zigzagging around, I was starting to get to the altitude number that I'd kind of set for myself in air as when I wanted to head to the landing zone. So I was targeting around 4,100 feet to head over to the landing zone. So we can see I'm getting ready to start heading towards the landing zone, pulling in that VG to improve my glide, and heading that way. I tried calling out on the radio, but I don't think anyone was on the same channel as me, unfortunately. Oh well. It was really interesting flying out above the houses and towards the landing zone, because this is the longest I've flown at a ridge soaring site in one direction. So what I mean to say is when I flew Bates, there wasn't a lot of direction that I could travel into the headwind that was generating our lift. But here, you're flying into the headwind for a sizable distance in time after leaving the ridge lift, which is really interesting. So I'm just coming out here. We have a nice view of the landing strip, but my ground speed is like under 5 to 6 miles per hour this entire time. So I'm just creeping over the ground, which is actually a really cool feeling. You get to really take in your surroundings and think about what you're going to do on that landing approach. As I started to get closer, I didn't think I'd have time to do a full 360, and by time I mean altitude. Even though that was the recommendation and pretty much is for any flying site, do a 360 to get a good gauge of the wind. I just felt with my altitude and the way I was coming in that probably just doing some pretty aggressive zigzagging was going to be the move, since with the headwind, I think a 360 might have put me at risk of coming up short, which a big plus for Avenue S isn't really a big deal. There's that nice dirt road leading up to the landing field that is pretty much in the direction you want to land. And so coming up short's not a big deal at all. It's just much more convenient to land next to the trucks. And I have a really big target, so it would be nice to hit it. After one more final zag, I'm coming in on my base leg here. Didn't do a downwind leg, so it's just straight to base. I don't know why I chose to go wide of the landing field. I think maybe just an altitude thing, but I totally should have just centered myself on the runway here. A little bit of pilot-induced oscillation there. Definitely trying to work on that on the Sport. And looking back, my hand is way too low on the left side, and I didn't need to flare at all. I caught my hand on the wire and ended up in the dirt. But overall, it was a fine landing. I just really didn't need to flare, and I should have just held that one hand on the base tube, one hand on the down tube setup until I was on the ground. I think it would have been totally fine with the headwinds, just run it out. So on my next flight, that's the biggest thing I'm going to try to improve is the landing.
Okay, I'm ready. Okay. Clear. Eyes up. Clear. Clear. Go.
Yeah! Whee!
Flight 2 had an even stronger launch. I love the shot here looking back at the ants on the ground. This was really rocking and the air felt more unstable, but I was going way higher, way faster, so I knew this was going to be a nice long one. We can really see me fighting the control frame here. Part of this was I probably could have just chilled out a little bit, but it also did seem like it was much heavier air and I needed to be actively controlling a lot of things. Unfortunately, there was absolutely nobody on the radio, but my buddy Tim Tester was in the air, so I did have another hang glider to hang out with immediately, which is always fun. And just taking in these views of the green hills is just so awesome. I know how rare it is for it to be this green out here because I used to live in Ridgecrest, and just seeing this, it is so, so beautiful. California, especially high desert California, can be absolutely stunning during these rare moments when there's actual life on the ground. So, with this lift that I'm getting, I'm just shooting up here, relatively. I kind of did a little bit different of a flight plan. I allowed myself to wander a little bit to the right and didn't go straight for that potato spot just because I'd seen Tim flying around on both sides of the canyon that I'm flying over right now. And I was just like, okay, I can kind of do whatever. Need to give Tim a little bit of space over there. I know I can get a lot closer to him still, but I'll give him a little bit of space and kind of do my own thing here. I'm not wearing the puffy jacket this time, and it feels a lot better that way.
Let's go. This is way more fun than I thought. Woo! Amazing feeling. Let's go. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, this is what it's all about now. Thank you so much, Andy. That was awesome of you, man.
Cruising around, waving hi to Tim. And I'm just feeling really confident and really happy right now because I know with this lift that I'm getting, I'm going to be able to go a lot of different directions, do some real turns, and get some actual flight time in. That first flight was cool, but I didn't drive all this way to just fly for 25 minutes. I came here to get some actual hours on the sport in, get a better feel for this glider since I haven't had a really long flight on it yet. So I'm already going up a lot, and I've seen Tim flying already for a little bit, and that's getting me really excited here. The air is definitely colder, but again, really glad to have one less layer. My hands were pretty much the only thing that got cold. I've been gushing about it already, but let's just take one more moment to appreciate these absolutely amazingly green hills. This doesn't happen. This video is a rarity in that sense already. Just capturing this with the green hills is so awesome. So we just saw another glider take off there, and eventually the tandem will get in the air as well. So a couple friends in the sky and just having a great time.
Not moving. This is awesome. This is so awesome. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Awesome.
I'm absolutely loving being frozen in place here by the conditions that we're in, and it's such a cool feeling to just look down and not move at all. I mess around with the VG here a little bit to see if this affects my position, but it's really not looking like I'm gonna move anywhere.
$5 grand. Let's go. Let's go. Now I wish I had the layer. Oh well.
I'm not wearing the puffy jacket on this time around, and I'm wishing that I had the extra layer. My hands are super cold at this point. Realizing how smooth the air is, I want to pull in and do a little maneuvering. Really love this shot of both the tandem glider and Tim and the Falcon flying above with the super green backdrop in the hills just behind them in the lake in the front. This section is at 5x speed. What I'm trying to show is I'm not moving forward at all. I'm staying in place, if anything, moving backwards.
Yeah, definitely don't want to get stuck back there. That is pretty gnarly. Andy wasn't kidding. He almost made us stuff. Maybe he's done it a time or two. Holy crap. Yeah. I mean, worst case, you just land up there, but holy shnikey. That was nuts, brother. A lot of road. I don't think I'd want to land there. Nice. So beautiful, man. So, shadows are growing fast. I want to go land, but I know the truck's not even there. I'm definitely not doing a 360 here. strong enough headwind. I think I'd be way too far back if I did. So kind of thinking of just going out super high here. Just chill with that. But yeah, it looks like it's gonna be a pretty nice headwind the whole way. That's full DG there. Not want to land like this, but it is great for gliding out.
This section is at 10 times normal speed. I really just wanted to show how slow I'm moving forward into the winds here, as well as give a really nice top-down view of what the landing zone looks like. I'm coming in much higher than the first flight, so I'm able to fly past the landing zone and then turn back to get a really nice feel for the true wind direction near the landing zone. It's so amazing watching how green this is watching it back. It still blows my mind. As I'm setting up the landing here, I'm trying to land on the dirt this time. I don't want to end up in the grass. I'm also thinking about what I want to do with my hands. The GoPro just died, so we won't be able to see the tail footage for this landing, just this bar perspective, unfortunately. My mount recently broke on a previous flight that I used to use for my 360 camera, so I'm working on redesigning something right now. I hope to have that ready by my next flight or the flight after. In any case, coming in, I was a little bit annoyed at this truck. It wasn't any hang gliders, it was just a random truck that was there, and they were kind of in my setup area, so I was a little bit stressed about it. Plus, they were doing donuts in the landing zone and didn't send me the video. 2 strikes, you're out. Well, maybe 3. In a true throwback to training hill form, I fully start to run as I'm approaching the ground. I was really happy with this landing. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the sky.
Howdy, boys.